Welcome back to the Shifting Gears podcast, and glad to have you with us. Of course, as always, I have SkullKrusher on the phone here, and we like to chat about a lot of different things that interest us, things that are happening, and just kind of have a little bit of fun here, have a little conversation. Join in the chat, like, subscribe, share this around. If you're in the chat, say hello. We'll be watching the chat, so if you want to talk and ask some questions, or if you have an opinion as well, I'm going to... anyway, Skull, we were going to talk about another topic, and I think we'll get to that too, because this probably won't take the whole time, but I'm going to kind of call an audible on this, and because now, for those that don't know, we're fairly avid Supercross and motocross too watchers, because we both used to race off-road and do some motocross and all that kind of stuff. So we have our little perspectives on things. But honestly, we watch Supercross and we participate in like fantasy racing and all that. Wouldn't you say we're kind of really into that? Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, our little, we have a 3-person team, right? Only we're not doing so hot. Well, I'm not doing so hot this season, but
you're doing better than what I was doing last year, because last year I was completely out of it. I was like 60,000 out of like 75,000 people. So you're doing pretty good.
Well,
I
okay.
consider anything.
Right.
I consider anything where you're at is doing all right.
Yeah, but that's...
we're all three kind of close, although one of us is a little bit further ahead of us.
Well, yeah. That being said, usually I do decent, or I'm usually on our team, at least I'm usually typically leading our points or something. Usually it's not like I have any special insight or anything, but I just somehow get lucky. Well, not this season. And anyway, we do the Rocky Mountain Fantasy Supercross, but yeah, actually, my moderator, who may not be in the chat, is actually leading our team points, and I think she is. I would have to look it up real quick. Actually, I could. Let's do that.
I did. It was like, I believe it was like 3,000.
I think she's
around 500.
Hold on here. I think she's. Let's see. I guess I gotta. Okay. No, I think she's better than that. Well, anyway, this season, of course, that's just the 450s. We're gonna talk about an issue in the 250s here, but the 450s, that's all they do. Super. Okay, gotta go to it here. I guess I could go on the PC, but I just have it up here on my phone. Let's look here. Let's see, group standing here. Oh no, you're right. Okay? For some reason, I thought she was in the top like 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that. Okay, yeah, 3,700. You're sitting at 3,728 is what she's standing at. So she's number 1. You're standing at 10,752, and I'm at 18,579, which is a lot better than I was the week prior, because I had a really terrible week. I was like, I don't know, 28,000s, and that is out of many players. I gotta go look at a different spot just to give people. Yeah, out of 84,000 people playing, 84,000 people playing. That's where we're ranking. But our
that's why I figure anything above 25, 30,000, I'm doing pretty good. I feel pretty good about myself. Well, last season I was down to like 70,000, and I was just like, there was nothing I could pick right, and and then COVID ended it, and so I just like I didn't even finish the season when they picked it back up. It's like
Yeah.
heck with this.
Yeah, well, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I guess our group total. Well, see, usually I'm under 10,000, somewhere under 10,000. Which so this is
Well,
really
and
bad for me. But
2 years ago, I was around 5,000. I was actually leading the group.
right, yeah, you've had some good.
I went from being from having a really good year to having a really bad year to now I'm okay.
Yeah,
It's all in good fun.
right. It is. It's all just for fun. And let's say our group rank. That's what I was looking up here while you were trying to talk. I trying to multitask here. Um, is let's see, 312 out of 8,957 groups. So that's not bad.
Oh
Although I imagine there's
no,
quite
I
a
did.
few like defunct groups. So who knows? um,
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know they did it that way.
yeah. Well,
I
there's
didn't think
there's the
about it
group.
as a group. I always thought of it as a competition. I was like, I
Well,
don't know. Well, it's kind of a
I
small group of competition, but
well that's yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that they did groups like that. And there's only three of us. I mean, compared to how many, I'm sure there's more on some of these other groups, maybe.
Well, maybe, but that as a group of three people, that's how well we're doing. So I consider that that pretty good. When I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I
I
would.
mean that's that's in the. I'd have to do some little math here. That's in the top. That 10. That no, that's not 10%, but um something like that. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, it's a fun
It's
thing
got
we
to be
do.
pretty darn close.
Yeah. But it's a fun thing that we do. And of course, what's uh kind of nice about it is you can win prizes if per round and stuff if you uh score well that round, and some of us scored pretty well on some of this stuff. So that's not too bad. I don't think, I guess. But anyway, it kind of leads me into, like I said, I was calling an audible and wanted to talk about, and you can see okay, the background picture here, right? There we go. Whoops. Yeah, see, outside my green screen there, which I need to keyframe myself in better. But anyway, okay, still shot here, and then we'll watch it real quick, and then I'll get into what I just to give context for folks out there. Um, so hang on a minute. Let me do. Sorry, we're doing this on the fly. Oh, what? Heck. Oh, there we go. Oh, I need. Oh, let's see. I need to do this. Oh, there we go. Put it clear at the top so everybody can see it. Okay. We'll start here, and we'll watch it, and then people will have some content. Okay. Anyhow, well, there we go. Got it. So for those that didn't know, that's kind of.
We welcome you to the Big Peach for Monster Energy.
Whoops, sorry. Realize that was. Okay. Let's mute that. Okay, sorry here. Okay. Anyway, watch that clip there. You see what happened. And okay, he gets up. The crew is you know they're making sure he's all right. I mean, obviously he took a pretty good digger there, but they red flagged the race because obviously there's no way they can get the bike down and him down kind of safely and everything. So they red flagged it because this was less than 3 laps in. All right, so that's the sort of setup here, and well, anyway, they cut to a commercial and then they come back and you see one of the Asterix medical crew kind of giving him, the how many fingers am I holding up, and then you hear some audio. I remember hearing some audio, and I'm sure it's in another clip, but they're talking to him and asking what happened, and he was explaining it word for word exactly what we saw, like doing his own commentary. So he was, that was their assessment, that he was A-okay and all this. Now, that said, they let him get back on, they set up for a restart, because when you red flag a race, you get to restart. This is set up for people who may not know. Well, anyway, he lines up on the line, and some people might think, oh, well, what's wrong with that? And it's like, well, I mean, nothing really, but you saw also the mechanics were messing with the handlebars, kind of getting it back in shape. And again, he didn't get the greatest start out of this thing either, but he got to go out there, race, and he put in a lot of heart. And I believe he got second or third after doing that. I can't remember. I should have prepped a little better on that stat. But anyway, he had to come up. He didn't get a great start either, and had to come up through the field a little bit. He didn't get the best start on the second restart. And okay, what's controversial about this, or I guess at the time I sort of thought this, I was like, oh wow, they're letting him race. And that was all they did for assessment because he was talking and conscious. What about concussions and things like that? But obviously, they made a judgment call and thought he was okay. Well, apparently this sparked a lot of discussion around the board, around message boards and things about is this fair? Was it fair what they allowed to him to get? He got a poor start and he basically gets a redo. Okay. And I mean, there's a lot of opinions, and it's funny. I kind of agree with them all, and I kind of disagree with them all at the same time. I think the AMA made the right decision in this case because it was such a specialized situation. Because if this had happened on a straightaway, he would have been off the track, or they could get him off the track, and he would either get up, try to mount his bike, and get going, or he would have went back to a mechanics area. They would have messed around with it, and then he'd be a lap down and or more, and just fight for whatever he could get. The reason why I think the AMA did the right thing on this is because the special circumstance where he crashed on that uphill, bridge over under kind of thing. That's a tunnel to get to the start line, and have the track over it, and everybody's jumping it. So, but they couldn't safely get his bike off of there because there's no guardrails, there's no way to easily, and those things are kind of steep. So, start and then play. Oh, my bell's rung a little bit, but then when they give you the how many fingers are you hanging up, they ace that test and get to restart and maybe get the whole shot. That's the controversy. So, okay, you didn't get to see it live, but you saw the clip. We replayed the clip. You heard about it. I guess, what is your take on it as I've sort of laid it out?
I'm thinking of several things. Like, well, he's actually fighting for a championship, for one thing.
Right.
And so that's part of the reason why he would want to jump up, and his team would want to get him going again. because we're getting was that their last? Because this is the
well,
East
he's
division for the
actually
250s.
fighting-
Is that their last race? Because I know
No.
I know when they go to Salt Lake City, they have the East-West shootout still, but
Right. But no, it's not. I mean, because then Saturday, because this was on Tuesday. Sorry, I guess I
Yeah.
didn't. For those that maybe not super familiar, this was on Tuesday night. And by the way, because of COVID and all that stuff, the schedule almost didn't happen. So thank God we got racing at all. And so even though the schedule's really messed
Yeah.
up, normally it's Saturday nights. So this was on a Tuesday night, and they've been going like three races per track, 3 rounds per track. Anyhow,
they try to. There's a few exceptions, but
right.
yeah.
But anyway, so this was on Tuesday. Then he raced again on Saturday. Obviously cleared or felt good enough, and he didn't do so hot. He was kind of trying too hard. But you brought up a good point. He's fighting for the championship. Okay. Well, what if this was some nobody? Would we even be would people even be talking about it? Let's say this is
that I don't know, but it's something I was thinking about when you were bringing up the well, if people are gonna possibly fake fall and stuff, this isn't something new. This isn't by any means a new rule. This is something they've been doing this for years, and you really haven't seen people fake it yet that you know of.
right. Well, see, and that's sort of the thing, is it's like, is this the start of that? And that's not, I'm not saying that it is, and I just, somebody brought that up, and that wasn't what entered when I saw it live, and my first gut reaction was, wow, what a crash. And okay, it needs to be red flag, because even though he was sitting up and he was moving his legs, so obviously no spinal cord injury, major spinal cord injury. And from the looks of it, when you slow it down, it's like, how did he not get something like that? Okay. But then I was like, wait, how are they going to get the bike? How is this, those flaggers and those Astra crews, and I know they're professionals and everything, but gosh, they look like they've never touched a dirt bike before sometimes when they're trying to lift them up and move them around. And I understand. I've walked and raced those tracks. Those dirt clods and the obstacles are just, they're ridiculous in how it is. So it's not easy. But I mean, couple that with where he landed and where the bike was, how are you going to safely get that down with a race in progress? So that's where I come down on. I think the AMA made the right call in red flagging it, because because the other argument is they wouldn't have red flagged this type of crash had it happened in the whoops or the or a rhythm section that has a flat off the track area, unless it was where it runs right parallel to each other and you're right in the middle there, and if he was still on the ground. But even then they've not red flagged races for that. So and then then there's the second part of letting him get back on the bike, and I think that was a situational. We weren't there. You just heard this little bit of audio when the cameraman happened to.
Yeah.
You could tell in the live deal they cut, and even when they were cutting back, the cameraman wasn't still got his shot up, because they were trying to get that, and he was looking and everything. But I don't know. Some people are saying, something like that, where they flew over the bike and the bike hit him, and he went way high in the air and everything. Mandatory send him to the tent and get him trucked somewhere for an MRI. I mean, that's all. That was what some people's.
I watching the video. I mean, maybe it was in slow mo, but it looks like he's laying there for a minute, like trying to gather his thoughts. So I could kind of see where they're saying that, but we're also not doctors.
Well,
And
that's it. Everybody
that's
who's
where
saying
that's
this is just an internet nobody like us, you know.
yeah. I mean, it, those guys on Asterix are actual trained people that deal with this on a
Right,
daily
and
basis. So
exactly, and that was my
it is
first thought.
it is a judgment call, and I mean, they were making the best call that they thought with the information they had. But I'm not going to question that. The only thing that I could see maybe questioning is the whole the team working on the bike. I guess it depends. If he was going to go out there and the bike was, like, say, unfit to ride for some reason,
Well,
should they or should they not had a chance to fix it
well, and
before the race started?
that's an interesting point you bring up, and I just thought of it as you said that, unfit to ride. Okay, it was rideable. Obviously, he rode it into a second or third place finish after something like that and scrapped some points. But here's the deal: number plate was busted off. Now, granted, they have transponders and all that kind of stuff, but now I don't know the exact rules on this, and I'd have to look it up. But I sure thought there was some rules about having to have visible number plates. Like they can't be broken or missing or obscured, except for obviously track conditions, mud and stuff. That's kind of the exception, obviously, but obviously that wasn't.
It may that may not have come into because it was an accident and he started the original race with one.
I could probably see that.
That may be, that may have been waived. I was just thinking of, like, maybe if the number plate's gone, maybe the handlebars are tweaked, and that's where I come into with, like, it wasn't fit enough to ride or not, because I mean, riding with tweaked handlebars is hard enough, but I mean, they could be tweaked so bad that the bike could have been unrideable.
Yeah. Well, right. And that's, of course, that's always subjective too. But in this case, the bike really didn't sustain, I don't think, that kind of damage. Obviously,
no, the bike had a nice, soft, cushy something to land on.
Yeah. And actually, hold up here. I'm gonna just replay this just again, because and I'm gonna, let's see here. Let me get this set up and slow it down. It's gonna sound really goofy. Well, I'll just leave it on mute, but I got pull again here. Yeah, we're just gonna mute it, but you can kind of see. I mean, it hits him, but it doesn't hit him that hard. And honestly, the bike takes the. I'm gonna slow her down here.
Well, it looks worse than what it is.
I was gonna say the seat takes most of the brunt. It
looks like the seat hit him in the back of the head.
Yeah, or the subframe and stuff. And that's, again, I mean, they made a judgment call on his fitness to race. I think they made an okay call.
But okay, so if you just watch here, just for just another second, when they flip up to where he's at, yep. He's still laying there, just like, you can tell he's, like, gathering his thoughts. And
right. Let me get to that part. I got it kind of. Well, and I guess that's where people are worried. It's like, okay, well, now there's a prerequisite for faking it. It's like, okay, stay down a little bit longer,
But who knows? He could have just had the wind knocked out of him, and he he just needed to catch it. He may not have sustained a head injury at all. He may just got the wind knocked out of him from the bike hitting him in the back and hitting the face of the jump, and
yeah. Well, one thing
just
he did obviously was grabbing his groin area, so obviously he got some sort of a serious, maybe Charlie horse or something like that. And he had a heck of a time getting back on the bike. That's another part that folks are pointing to as, oh, see, he wasn't fit, okay, well, past the.
Well, and something else is like, weren't they talking about Saturday? Like, he hurt his shoulder or something.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Not this race, but like a couple. I think that was in Daytona. He has been racing with a hurt shoulder, anyways. It's amazing that this one didn't.
Well, that's
make it hurt even more.
Well, that's
although adrenaline could have done something with that too,
Right. Okay. So here's slow-mo in slow-mo. But as we're watching it here, I don't know, like I said, I can see the everybody's points of view, and it's like, that's why I said at the beginning, I can kind of agree with everybody's assessment of the whole incident, and I kind of disagree with everybody too. It's just, this is just such a lightning in a bottle kind of thing, because where he happened to land and how happened to crash, you just it's just wouldn't. I don't think. Well, actually, I can be pretty confident in saying I think this probably never happened. A guy crashing on one of these step over deals, maybe on the backside, clip the landing, but then you're on the flat where medical crews and stuff can get the bike.
That's what he did That's what he did the race before those. He clipped the back and he went off the side.
Yeah, just a unique deal. And anyway, I think we've sort of covered the topic the way I wanted to. I just thought, I was thinking about it just leading up to before we got started. I was like, you know what, I kind of want to talk about it because it is sort of the unpopular opinion that in this case the AMA made the right choice, or he got a lot of people are more on the, well, this is setting a precedent to, okay, like, figure out how to, if you're gonna get a bad start, find a section of track that's a little bit difficult and crash and then just go in, do a little acting rig, get it red flagged, roll up there on again, kind of limp a little bit, and you get a little TV time for the sponsors. I mean, I can see where people's minds are going with this, and then get the whole shot, take off, and win the championship kind of thing. I don't think that's going to happen, but because there are provisions and rules that sort of could penalize that kind of behavior. So that's why I'm not so keen on the people who take it almost this conspiracy theory level of, there's going to be training camps, you're going to have Ryan Hughes, crash camp or something like that.
Well, for
or actually, reason, you know what? Actually, James Stewart ought to open one up. He's the master of crashing. Or Travis Pastrana.
Oh, I can remember. I can remember them having the same argument, like a few years ago when they kept crashing off the start.
Right.
In the 450s, and someone had brought that up. Well, hopefully they're not like faking this out or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think I've seen anybody do that. I don't. I honestly, I guess I can't say that for sure, but I don't. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
that's actually happening.
Although I think that, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Although I want to say that some of that um, kind of harkens to more like the poor track. For a while there, it seemed like the track designs were a little, especially with the starts, were a little spotty. And I think those starts that you're thinking of, because I do remember that season where they had some right hand starts, which if you're not a dirt bike or a motorcycle rider, see your rear brake is on the right side. So a left hand start is, or a left hand corner, I should say, is a bit easier than a right hand because it's you're putting your this foot out and your left foot out to stability to drag, and the other one you can feather the brake and such to slide around the corner or have a little bit extra control. Where the right hand, I mean, it's not impossible, but with off there, then you're using the throttle and some clutch to uh, modulate the traction. And on a start where they're just going full throttle trying to get up to the gears, then they have to really shut her down, and they're trying to weave through their traffic. If I recall, a lot of those crashes were happening on those right hand starts, and that was something that track designers were trying to add a little bit of variety, and I kind of liked it, but I think it did cause more track crashes, like I said, on the start,
Um,
and cause some restarts just because of that. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm liking this. I guess to round it out, I'm liking this season, both 250s and 450s. Normally, I don't get as into the 250s. I like to watch them because you see who's kind of coming up. But for the most part, it's not a perfect analogy. Actually, it's a pretty bad analogy now that I think about it. But it's sort of like your college football and your pro. Um, College football is definitely fun to watch because you get to see the real talent coming up and who has the heart and all that, and you get some real mavericks and cowboys. But again, they're so far and few between. They end up sort of dominating that series. Um, Whereas in the 450s, to a certain extent can be a little more even playing field. And Ricky Carmichael and like Ryan Villapoto uh, and Jeremy McGrath, those types notwithstanding, because they were just almost superhuman in the fact that, okay, when in their eras, it was always who was going to get second place, but we're more back to a normalcy where there's about five guys that can win races, so it keeps it mixed
Well,
up.
I've heard the case that it's actually the top 8 are like any of the top 8 could win it,
Well,
and
I
that's
guess
why
it's
it's
even
been
more
so
this
hard.
season, but
It's been so hard and been so inconsistent amongst maybe not necessarily amongst who's in the top 3 but why it's so hard for like maybe Tomac to come back and
let's
like why maybe Marvin Muscan and Jason Anderson kind of fell off a little bit. I mean, they didn't necessarily fall off, but their competition has just made
yeah.
it that much harder. They can't work through the pack like they used
Well,
to.
that's what I think, and let's talk about that a little bit. I guess we're on. You bring up a good subject that honestly I was going to just bring up on another podcast, but this is just as good a time as any is yeah. What's Tomac has really struggled to um really find his his consistency. I guess um
Yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe
you,
we have been spoiled. We, as in a little bit older, have been spoiled by seeing so many, being able to see multiple dominant and consistent riders. in the past, and so that's like the prerequisite for a champion. Um,
Well, with Tomac, it seems like the last few years, anyways, he the first part of the season he doesn't do very well, and then whatever somewhere in the middle he usually found it and found what he needed to do and just finished up the season really consistent. And he just, for whatever reason, and I'm only guessing that it's the competition from what I'm hearing. And you know, Webb is kind of taking that kind of, that consistency that everybody else would normally, or he had normally had.
well, right, but
And
I can almost say the same for Ken Roxon. I mean, I just remember him coming on the seat. I mean, they're running out of time. I mean, they're running out of time. Yeah, I feel to
well, and
cement their
that's why it's like,
legacies. You know.
that's what it's like. Roxon, when he said this weekend that he needed to be more aggressive, I'm like, don't say that, because then he wrecks out and he's not in first after he was
Well,
leading the
that's it.
race.
He
It's like,
he
maybe
clutched
he
defeat from
needs
the
to.
hands of grip victory. That was just. I mean, you could tell he was just searching for something to just be positive rather than stating the obvious of I had this one in the bag and I effed up, you know?
Yeah.
I lost I well actually when you watch the replay of it and you see what happened, he was charging through those whoops. Why? He had 10 seconds, 11 seconds on Webb, you know? Why? I mean I mean, it's one thing to catch a rut just off guard, but he should have been just jumping through those, and his pit board guy would just say, "Oh, you lost 3 seconds on this lap. Okay, then maybe you notch it up a little bit. Not that 3 seconds would have mattered with an 11-second gap, but yeah, I mean, just it made for great racing. It made as a fan, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying he. I don't know, that was just so uncharacteristic. But you watch how he was going through those whoops right before, and it's like he was charging as if Webb was right on his butt, and I don't know why, unless his pit guy was just not giving him signals like relax, holding up relax 11 seconds or something like that. I mean,
Well, and
who
but
knows?
see,
It's a long track. It was a long track too, so you're
but
not.
that's the way he's always kind of races. He's just like, he's always, um there's no I don't want to say pause, but there's no like shifting down in the second when he's already in third or whatever.
Yeah,
He's just always going. And this, like, um that's why Webb is winning, because it's not necessarily about, he's just there consistently at the right time. And Roxon just hasn't figured that out yet, and maybe never will, because that's just not the way that he's built. But
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Tomac has that figured out. He's just, for whatever reason,
he
like,
doesn't get the start. Tomac's problem. He
he's
doesn't
just
get the
not get
starts.
yeah, he's just not getting it this year. But
And part of it, and I almost wonder if part of it is not for lack of trying. I don't say he's not trying, because he definitely is. But I something comes to mind that it's like, have we finally gotten to a level in this sport where I don't want to say it's plateaued in the performance and I'm not just talking about the motorcycles, the equipment. I'm talking about the athlete themselves. As we've plateaued where it's going to be a while maybe until somebody comes out with the next new thing, new trick for speed, new trick for getting around these courses. I mean, think about it. I mean, you can go back to the history and name tons of riders. I mean, we'll start, comes to mind early on, is like Bob Hanna. He was, his trick to getting around everybody was just pin it and flop all over the bike and let the bike just ride him and him point it in the general direction. And that's how he would just get ahead of everybody, is he'd just, or he'd crash. But I mean, he just pin it and let the chips fall where they may, where other people would just didn't think to do that, I guess, to play it, quote, safe and not crash, where he would pin it and not try to crash, but just go at it. And then, then I think of, he had a long stretch there where there was multiple people, and then I think everybody else decided, oh geez, I got to step up my game, so they start doing the same thing. But they also learned to ride and the bikes got better. I mean, that's another thing. Bob Hamill was riding, every other season he was riding junk, honestly, in those years. But that's another topic. But I think people learned that, okay, I need to have a little more no fear here to start competing. Okay, so then you have kind of a plateau there. Then you have like, and I'm missing some in there. You have Doug Henry and stuff, but I'm McGrath, and I don't know if
I thought Henry and like Hughes were around the same time that McGrath.
Well, they kind of were, but they were dominant too.
Maybe I was, because I can remember him racing.
They were racing together, yeah.
But maybe they were a bit older than what I thought they were.
Well, but then, like I said, if you think about McGrath, and I guess I can't pinpoint what his little trick was, other than he was just young, had a lot of support, and he had good bikes under him, except for that year he rode Suzuki, I think. But but anyway, he took it to the next level. I guess you could probably argue that he was one that just grew up, was one of the first of the career racers, as a kid and stuff. I mean, the other guys did too, but the sport wasn't developed as much as like in McGrath's era, where it was more sanctioned and stuff. But then, then obviously we got to talk about Carmichael and of course Stewart, and their paths and eras kind of cross. But Carmichael was just put the work in. I'd say he's probably the one, and maybe that was McGrath, is he just put the work in where everybody else did.
I always thought McGrath was just more of a natural, like,
maybe
it just came more naturally to him. I do know that with Ricky it was with the workouts and having the right trainer and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then James was just fast.
Well, but he had a trick. He perfected, not that whips and stuff like that wasn't a new thing. The idea using them to scrub. I mean, the Bubba scrub. I mean, he wasn't the first to do it, but he was the first to just perfect it and find. Actually, he outrode the bikes, and that's partly why either he won the race by won the race by lapping up to 8th place, almost, give a long enough race, he'd lap the field, or he'd crash out, because the bike, he almost a reverse, I'd say almost a reverse Bob Hanna in that he was outriding what the bikes of the day were capable. Because especially on those, I mean, those who remember it, those 125s, well, they took skill to ride quickly because they had so little power comparatively to the 252 strokes at the time. He just learned how to ride that thing on the pipe. I mean, all the time. I mean, just I don't care where he was on the
Was
track.
it? There was one of those riders that went to the Motocross of Nations. Was it him? And did really really well on the 125. I can't remember if it was him or if it was.
That was Pastrana. Pastrana was out there beating. That was back when 500s were still, there were still 500cc bikes there, and he was because like the third race back then, like the third race, they would mix all three, and he was beating people on 500cc bikes in the Motocross of Nations. But again, he's another one that just another phenom kind of deal. But anyway, I guess what I'm getting at,
And he was another one that was kind of just more natural.
Yeah, he just had that natural able to see and read the track and the natural ability. But I guess that's what I'm getting at is each of these folks that we're talking about, and there's some other minor ones under that we're sort of leaving out. But they each brought, whether it was natural talent or the work ethic that other, they brought something that somebody else wasn't doing, or a skill. I mean, like I said, Stewart, I'd say, had the natural and then a new skill that nobody was using, or nobody thought to use. Ricky just had the work ethic. It was just that's all he was doing. And now I think, and then you got Villapoto, same deal. And then Dungey, again, I think a lot of natural skill.
But Dungey was the first of being consistent.
Well, that's it. That was his new deal, is figuring out the consistency and also knowing when to settle for second place. That was his biggest strength, knowing when to settle for that second place spot. Not push it so hard to then just crash. And granted, he crashed too. But he had some of that natural ability too, because I just remember that race where they had the busted or bent shifter, and he's sitting there flying over triples, reaching down and shifted the bike with his hand, so he's in the right gear, in third or fourth or whatever when he lands, so he can get through the whoops or something, But again, he was kind of, in my opinion, sort of the last of someone to bring a new element to racing. And now everybody's learned. I think everybody finally has learned from Dungey and is doing that. And I mean, I look at like Jason Anderson, a great rider, fairly consistent, but almost. And it's not that he ain't fighting, and that's no disrespect, but it's almost like he took the being consistent part almost too seriously and settling on too many of those lower spots, rather than sometimes he should maybe take the risk.
Well, I kind of wonder with him if it wouldn't be more he needs to be a better starter.
Well, that's it. Well, and then that's it. It's now gotten back to, and we had there was an era there back in, I think, the 90s too, where it was like, well, whoever got the start was going to be it, because the bikes were just, there was such a wide gap in how well the bikes were. Now it's like,
well, that's kind of that was kind of the way James and Ricky kind of raced each other, and Reed. Yep. You got to throw Reed in there too.
Yep.
It was like whoever got the start on that thing was more than likely going to win it. And unless like James wrecked out or something.
Well, or like when Ricky was out with his knee injury, so then it was a battle between Windham and Reed. It was whoever which one of those two got the better start was probably going to win the race, unless they were 1-2 out of the corner. Then you knew you were going to have a good race. But if one of them faltered just a bit, and that's the thing, I think we're getting to the point where everybody is just so darn good, even the guys clear to the back, like circling around to where we started with this fantasy racing is even guys like these are kind of young guys, but even guys like Plassinger and Enticknap and Chase Sexton and I'm missing, Malcolm Stewart for that matter. Gosh, if they get the start, they're in the top 5. They can hold top 5, and if they wanted to, and the stars align, they can win a race. They damn near have. So I'm just saying, this is all good things. It's just, it's hard to pick a winner, and it's hard to just say, I hate that guy, I like that guy. I almost like them all, just because they all have the ability to win the race week in and week out. The only ones that are still left there, of course, they're getting old, but good old the wild card spot is almost all Vince Freezy's. You almost pick him all the time if the wild card spot is 10th or lower, or higher, I guess you'd say 10th or higher. You just pick Vince Freeze because he's probably gonna finish in that 13th spot or that 12th spot. At least that's my default, unless I kind of mix it up and put someone like Joey Schiavocci in there. But then, heck, he can get 5th place sometimes. He can be a spoiler. So it's just tough. I mean, Wilson's he's a little disappointing. Same with San Cerullo, but he's out, right? I think. But
yeah, he was doing top 5 until he went out.
Exactly, until he goes out, he's always in there. It's
which his career has been nothing but one accident to the next. Even in the 250s, it seemed that way too. He was supposed to be. I thought he was supposed. The hype train was on him. He was supposed to be the next RC or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the other thing is, and again, I have to set my expectations, I guess, a little bit differently, because we've been so, I don't know if you want to say spoiled, but it's like we've had so many seasons over the years since we've been actively watching and, of course, participating in this fantasy racing and stuff, that there's always been that one superstar that carries the whole series, and then it's just the other guys. But now it's so different here. We got another viewer in here. Looks like a good old friend who pops in every once in a while. Let's I'm not gonna have the sound, but I show them what we're talking about here. So whoops. But
well, yeah, you better show him so he has some kind of an idea.
Yeah,
what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah, from across the pond, we have some of our viewers here, and this is kind of what we're talking about. This happened last Tuesday night, and there's been one other race since this, but caused a little bit of controversy, and about letting him get back in and race, and this guy, after a wreck like that, got back in after they red flagged it, because this race wasn't even 3 laps old, and that's how the rules are. And he got back in and raced and got 2nd place after a crash like this. Here, actually put that on there. Actually, this one though, what is it? Is his name? Zach, can't think. One where he just, yeah. See if this is the one I got. I didn't think about doing this one, but Zach Bell. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Here. I turn this into just watch other people's YouTube videos hour. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. This one, you remember this one. This was from a few years back. Bam, just right on the flat. Yeah. Go.
I've actually wrecked a pit bike like that.
Yeah.
Before.
Well, a lot didn't land from, but he trying to scrub that jump, you know. I mean, let's see if they're gonna replay it here. Let's kick it back here. Bam. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you know, it could have been that bad if he had not landed on the top of that that box up there.
You know, this reminds me of, you know, the worst one though was with when Reed fell off of that jump in motocross.
Oh yeah, I can't remember, but now
I don't remember what the track, but that one was like he fell from like 50 feet in the air or something like that.
But here's the one that everybody likes to, just because, you know.
Gate pick, and you have to start way on the outside. Definitely change your attitude about it. Oh,
Michael Lessie, a vicious hit, and he is dead. Oh, and the rider's just pounding over him. Michael Lessie is down
One
hard.
more time. I shouldn't laugh, but that's the Michael Lessie. That's the Michael Lessie. Michael Lessie crash, where everybody just, well, they can't see him. I mean, I shouldn't laugh because that's it
is
too
mean,
bad. It's just
but...
it's just, you know, I think Michael Lessie's pretty universally hated, mostly because of his dad. But that's another topic and story for another time.
Yeah, that would be like an hour-long topic.
Yeah. But yeah.
Speaking of hype and everything.
Yeah, believe the hype. Oh shoot. Let's see if I can. Yeah, close it down. I should have. Let's see. You know, the thing is T-shirt. Actually, let's look on eBay. Gosh, we're. Because I got how see if I can find it. See, I mean, those are like, oh yeah, those are like collector's items, and I remember that because that was, gosh, was that like 2002 or something like that, or 3? No, about 2004. But anyway, I just remember he was talking like, oh, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna top 5, and I remember Carmichael was in this, and that was part of his, maybe at the beginning of his perfect season. But anyway, like it was like, I don't know if exactly it was Carmichael, but it was whoever, the top guys, just punted him off the second corner or something, and he was kind of out. Let's see.
I thought this. I don't remember who punted him off, but I thought like Carmichael kind of roosted him as he went by.
Yeah. I mean, he got punted off by somebody, and but yeah. Let's see.
I was trying to think of who would have been like a Barsha that went Bam Bam back then, but I don't remember. Would that have been maybe Wyndham? Or
might have been Wyndham.
That would have definitely
Bam wasn't even.
That would have definitely been Reed, because that would have been something he'd have pulled back then. I know everybody likes Reed now, but
he was a jerk.
He was he had a mean streak back when he was younger.
Well, and like mechanics didn't really like. Let's see. Yeah, as far as unless I'm not searching it very good, I don't see any on Believe the Hype.
Oh.
Oh God, I want to find one that is like for sale. Oh God, now why did I? Okay, here we go. We got All right, we got Team Alessi, lifetime member. What would Alessi do? It's an Alessi thing you wouldn't understand. Oh God, we're just turning into like a bash fest now. This is just like Google shopping or whatever. Let's go to images here. Prim again. He was saying a mean streak. So like a stretch in his career where he was just mean. I'm reading the comments here. He didn't understand. But anyway, here's the Believe the Hype. There's the Believe the Hype.
Oh, they were in red. I always thought they were black and
white.
Oh
yeah, no, I even remember the broadcast, and they were showing people walking around with them on. I mean, there was obviously all the crew and everything. But and then this. I'm crying, and I forget where's the. Somebody made, yeah. Had like a stand-up deal of him crying there, but
that was when he won the heat race.
That was a heat race win. Oh my God!
I don't want to be that mean.
Yeah, I know.
I get it.
Oh man, maybe that's our cue to call it a night.
Yeah, Reed when he was younger, he would it was always between him and Ricky Carmichael and at the races, and Reed was one that he would push you off the track. He would take all the track up, maybe is what I should say.
Yeah.
And you had nothing left but to jump off the track or go into a hay bale or whatever, because he outgrew that with age for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's funny you say people like him now. It's funny, he turned into a Wyndham, because Wyndham, again, he had that period in his career where he just didn't care, and people didn't like him basically because he kind of quit for a little bit there. But then he became like the sports almost more than Dungey even at the time, the world's most likable rider. He could get last place, and people would be still cheering just because it was just a genuine he grew into being a genuine nice guy. But I think when he was teammates, when Pastrana was on the 125s for Suzuki and Wyndham was on the 250s, I think that was when he was in his, I don't know if he got messed up on drugs and stuff like that, but he was just being very destructive, I guess, with his career. I don't know if you'd say his life so much, but his career. But then, like I said, he came out of that.
Well, and if you watch hockey, it's very comparable to, like, you think of these guys with their mean streaks like an enforcer in hockey, where they're out there to just brutalize people. I mean, these guys weren't necessarily out there to brutalize people. They were trying to get first, but they were doing it like if you got in their way, they were gonna take you out, and they didn't care they didn't have any care about what they did to you. Whereas, some of the other writers, they obviously everybody's still trying to get first, but they wouldn't necessarily try and take you out in the process.
Right.
They just try and pass you and go on with their day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that was.
And the current guy like that now is Bam Bam, which is Justin Barsha, but he's kind of, I mean, he shows it at times, but he's not.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and let's talk about him for just a bit because again, the beginning of the season, I kind of lost track a little bit of some of the goings on there for a while, and he came in on this new quote gas team, which of course KTM owns that brand now, or at least for the off road bikes, so it's basically just a red KTM. So I've read. I haven't seen him in the flesh yet. Of course, folks that really go back in my archives and know who I am know that I have some trials bikes, and gas is what the brand I've ridden. I got 2 of them and whatnot. But so but even back then, this is the late, my bikes are late 90s and this was the early 2000s. They made off-road bikes and stuff, and I had kind of thought that they had almost folded, at least for their off-road and motocross bikes have pretty much folded. And so I thought, oh wow, they're really making a go at it. Well, they got the money of KTM behind them. Same with Husqvarna and Huisberg, which Huisberg doesn't have a bike in Supercross, but they are big in the off-road. But anyway, that being said, he's doing well to bring awareness to that brand, even though it's just a rebadged KTM kind of.
He's doing better than the KTM rider and the Husqvarna rider.
Yeah, well, he is, and
he's beaten both of them, and both of those guys have been on that team for years now. He's kind of a new guy to that team, but he's been a good racer. He's just unfortunately never won the championship.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because of the competition, but
part of it is he's kind of the same way as Roxon is. He just rides all out, and sometimes that just gets him into trouble, and he wrecks out and ends the season. But
yeah. Well, right. I think also it really shows what I've kind of always said in the more modern era of motocross, supercross. While the bikes are drastically different in their setups and everything, it really does come down to the almost the rider, because that the rider can really they make the bike these days, I guess. And kind of has for a while. So, but hold on, I'll bring this up. Okay, see, there's Barsha here. One thing it made me think of while we were talking about it here is here I'll zoom it in, but you can kind of, I caught this here in his sponsorship, or his personal sponsors here. See this little Atari logo? That's Atari Hotels. Okay, Atari's the brand, or that logo, the Fuji logo, is owned by a French company, and they basically just whore that brand and that logo out to just about anything. Licensing deals. They just came out with a new console. Here they kickstarted it, and it's a cluster. It's a clusterfuck of a deal. But anywho, I saw this on there, and I heard about the whole Atari Hotels thing, and I'm like, what a random sponsorship in this kind of arena, because if you look at everything else, it's like everything else kind of makes a little bit of sense. You got 4-wheel parts, okay, that's like truck parts and things. Well, you got to haul the bike in a truck. Usually it's 4-wheel drive. Twin Air, Motor Rex, PPG, the paint, okay, that makes sense. Troy Lee, obviously, and then everything else is more motorcycle related. But that one, because that is such a, you got to be our age to even recognize that stupid logo. I'd say, and that's kind of, I thought that was odd. And I didn't even notice it because I didn't look up any press photos. I noticed it actually when he was, they were just filming the bike and him, getting ready, and I just thought that was an odd sponsorship. I've looked up more about like why and how, other than it just shows it's part of his, package of sponsors. But it's like, I think it's a waste of money for that brand because I don't think the people that quote would be staying at Atari hotels if and when they actually get built, are probably in the motocross and supercross world, I guess. But anyhow, that's kind of a random thing.
You want to talk about random sponsors? So I think about the big one, which would have been when Reed was sponsored by the Indian Casino.
Oh yeah, San Manuel.
Yeah. So it's like when I first heard about that one, I was like, where the heck is this coming
now that
from?
one, but here's the thing about that was a team, so that was the one that was,
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was they took over the Yamaha factory,
right? But
factory racers.
But I guess here's the thing. Now, it's good for Barsha, and the team throws a little extra money or whatever their way, but I guess what for me, it wouldn't be a lot of exposure for the brand, the Atari, Atari Inc. or whatever they call themselves now, is or Atari LLC, especially for the hotels, because the only reason I know about them is because I do follow some of this kind of gaming stuff, obviously, and it's a retro brand, but I'm the exception, not the rule, of this stuff, and it hasn't got any mainstream press. I don't even, it might have been on like a website like The Verge or something like that, and it probably hit like IGN and those more gamery websites, but your general population is not going to know that these exist. I mean, until obviously they do some like TV style ads or YouTube ads and whatnot, which I've not seen. So I just, who's ever a Barsha fan is not going to see that and be like, oh my god, what's that? Oh man, a retro gaming themed hotel. I want to go stay there. I just don't. It's just not going to get me the brand. I just don't think it was a good use of their money to get that brand awareness out in this arena. It probably would work better in something like, arguably NASCAR or any of the car racing types, where they get better prime time coverage. They get more mainstream coverage, because even though this stuff is generally in prime time, it still gets preempted by soccer games and or football, and for our folks in the rest of the world.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know how many races I've missed the end of the season because they cut to sailboat racing,
or
because
baseball.
the channel has an allotted time, and it's 10 o'clock, and we've got to get that sailboat racing in at 10 o'clock. We cannot go any later.
Exactly. Yeah. But I guess it just, I smiled when I saw that, just because it's a brand, like I said, I know, but again, it's not the brand I know either. It's almost a joke. This Atari thing, and that's probably a topic we could go into. I mean, other obviously more gamery type podcasts and videos and reviewers and stuff have obviously went over all this stuff, and that's how I know some of this stuff is because I watched some of that stuff. But it just was just a little odd for a personal sponsor, because like I said, it's not a team sponsor deal. It's more of a personal level type sponsor, like, you know, goggles and gear and all that. But it just, why Justin Barsha? I guess now I think about it, they could put that logo on anybody's. I mean, granted, he's probably cheaper to buy than obviously like Tomac and Roxon and those guys, but then
I wouldn't think so.
But that's the thing. But then again, probably not. So why not?
They would have, if you're gonna go cheaper, you would have probably gone with someone like Plessinger or Sexton or
But then again, and that's a thing we could talk about a little bit, as sponsorships. But again, that's the part about it I don't know at that pro level of how some of that stuff really comes down. Is on that, you know, we just have our little personal experience at our, you know, internet nobody level.
Yeah.
But you know, we're not even has-beens. We never were.
Yeah.
But you know, I just like I said, I was like, did you see that logo on the bike? I mean, that's the first time I really pointed something out, noticed a sponsor logo. So maybe it worked. Maybe it worked. But that's the thing, is I can look up the stairs to my loft/game room and see that logo plastered all over my walls too. So it's like, you know, I'm the exception, not the rule to that. But yeah. Anyhow, man, we blew a whole show on just this Audible I called, and this was fun. So I don't know. You know what? Let's wrap it up here. But I was thinking, do we want to talk about audio formats next week? I mean, we can. I have some things to say, and I'm sure you do too.
We can shoot for it next week.
Yeah. Well,
that's kind of the fun of this, is just
I'm having fun with it.
We decide on the topic and we may not even talk about it at all.
Well, and you know what? I mean, there's all of like 10 people that probably watch this thing, because I'm trying something new. We're on 3 different platforms right now, and actually, I sent you an email earlier today, because I was watching watching the YouTube version of another podcast, and this podcast platform called Anchor, and it has some features, and mostly like the distribution to maybe get this out, where I could upload the recordings and stuff. But it has that, you know, we were talking about it. It kind of has that. It has that voicemail feature like built into it. So I mean. So like, well, we got one viewer here from across the pond, old Primigan. He could actually leave us a voicemail, and we could listen to it on stream and answer voicemail questions. But it'd be a better way to distribute it. So folks out there, they're listening. I mean, I guess I'm giving a little insider baseball here, but who cares? Would you guys like it in a more digestible format, as in on an actual podcast platform? Anyhow, so I mean, obviously you can the videos and this stuff on YouTube, Twitch, and all that. You can watch the archives of that. I'm putting these on my second channel right now because it doesn't seem like, I mean, they're doing okay on my regular channel, but it sure seemed like I'd lose a couple of subscribers every time, because I don't think that's what people who are coming to my channel are expecting is random topics like that. So I think we're kind of building this from scratch. It's fun. I appreciate those that do watch and or listen. And I'm thinking about putting it out on a more traditional podcast platform, as well as we'll do them live and then upload them there, or as well for the folks that have the app for like Spotify. I think it distributes to like Spotify. Let's look it up. I can't remember. There's more to it than what I'm making it out of, as far as features and other things. I forget which one does it all. Well, it can feed to just about any, but well, now I can't.
Don't be surprised if you lose me here, but
yeah, Spotify.
It's again.
Yeah, Spotify, iTunes, whatever Pocket Cast is, Overcast, probably other ones too. But anyway, I think I might investigate it, and we'll see. I appreciate Premium. Let's see. Plus an irregular from across the pond just happened to wake up just right now and tune in. Okay, so you got the notification on Twitch. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Hopefully you get the notification. If you're not subscribed to my second channel, get subscribed. So hopefully you get the notification when this archives or when we go live. Yeah, I know you're moving to a new place. We chat offline sometimes, so that's great. Anyway, having a conversation with a viewer right now. So if you made it this far into the podcast and the video and everything, leave a like, leave a comment, share, tell your friends, send a letter with the URL and snail mail to somebody. But let's see if we can get a little bit of an audience going. That's what we're trying to do here. But either way, we're having fun just chatting. We'd talk like this anyways, and we need to get
yeah.
Well, and we need to get before we go here, we need to get Redline involved. And gosh, even if we get old Russ Camp hooked up too. But me and him been talking a little bit too. He's doing a little boat project, and that'd be something that would be interesting to talk to. But anyway, we need to get him scheduled in if one of these Monday nights, and all three of us get to chat, and we could tell some old stories too. And we should get back to some of those. We should get back to some of those too, because those are fun.
And I think that's kind of maybe not what the format was gonna be about, but the music formats.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah, and I can hear what's your dog's name? I can't remember.
Bane.
I was gonna say Rusty, but I knew Rusty's gone. But
yeah.
But okay, well, we like to try to go for at least an hour. It's almost been an hour and a half there.
Well, and
phone probably is dying and whatever.
No, can't think of what it's called. Discord. Discord always cuts us off at an hour and a half. So.
Wow. Oh, it probably does, because we're on the free. We're on the free. See. This maybe we should rename this not the Shifting Gears podcast, but the No Budget podcast. By golly, I think that's that might be the new name. But I don't know. We shift topics about as fast. I guess I came up with a little slogan: Shifting Gears podcast, the only podcast that shifts topics faster than the Chrysler Torquefite. Anyway, if you made it this far, put McAdoo as your comment or keyword down there, and then I know you got to the got to the end of this video, and I think we're gonna leave it there. I think we'll leave it there. That's good, and we'll talk about old audio form or all audio formats, and have a discussion about that next week.
Hey, we got someone that actually posted McAdoo.
Ah, there it is. Well, no, you need to hold up. Let me get the link. We need it on YouTube. Post it everywhere. Okay. Here you go. There's the link to to this stream, the second channel. Get subscribed. But there we go. First one. You were first,
Yeah.
Grim. All right.
We've been waiting for that. I don't know how many of these we've done now, but
well, we've been doing this like a month and a half or something. I mean, actually, I'm pretty surprised. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Hope you joined in, and we'll see you next week.